A child vanishes and a desperate search begins.
I'd do anything to get that time back. Anything.
We didn't expect people to reach out like they have been.
But soon, suspicion turns to the grieving family.
Welcome back. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about a little boy who disappeared from his grandmother's backyard one day in 2020. Police believed he was swept away by a fast-moving body of water, but not everything seems to add up to that. Let me know what you think about this case at the end of today's video. This is the story of Dylan Ehler. Dylan Ehler was born on April 16, 2017, to his mother Ashley Brown and his father Jason Ehler in Truro, Nova Scotia. He also had a sister named Lily who was 9 years older than him. Dylan was described as curious and always on the go, with a personality that made everyone smile. He also had a fascination with rain and loved to go outside in his rain boots and catch droplets on his tongue. Dylan's parents had met in the same small town where he was born, Truro, Nova Scotia, which is a small farming town of about 12,000 people. Ashley and Jason had met at a friend's house and quickly began dating, then moved in together. However, Ashley's parents were not the biggest fans of Jason. This was because, as they said, he had a quick temper, had a problem holding down a job, and had dabbled in drugs, though it's said that Ashley also dabbled in drugs at one point. In addition, Jason had been arrested twice in the past for shoplifting charges. Ashley had faced similar charges, though they were later dropped. As of early 2020, both of Dylan's parents had lost their jobs due to COVID. Despite this, things were normal, even though money was a little bit tight. So both parents were home during the day, and both children were attending school virtually, which meant they were spending a lot more time together. Then there was one morning in May of 2020 where Ashley woke up extra tired. She also woke up to a neighbor banging on their windows, pissed, and saying that the couple had egged his house, and he was looking for a fight. After denying she'd done that, the situation died out with the neighbor. But for one reason or another, Jason had also woken up very angry. The couple soon began fighting, and it escalated quickly, with Ashley hitting Jason. This resulted in Jason threatening to kill her, then smashing her phone into the floor. Someone in the neighborhood would end up calling the cops, and Ashley was charged with assault, while Jason was charged with threatening her. Both would end up being released from jail on bond. However, a no-contact order was also set in place. Following that, Jason would stay with his parents, which was about a 15-minute drive away from the home with Ashley and the kids. In the meantime, Jason and Ashley's mothers would act as intermediaries, driving Dylan back and forth between the two houses. This only created more tension, because Jason did not like the fact that Ashley's mother, Dorothy, was caring for his son. He really didn't trust her, in part because of her history of slipping up on her sobriety. On the morning of May 6, 2020, Ashley woke up with Dylan next to her. She gave him breakfast and then got him ready for the day. Not long after that, Ashley's friend Vanessa sent her a text message inviting her over to have some coffee and chat. Needing a break, Ashley agreed, then texted her mother to see if she could watch Dylan for the day. Her mother said she could, so Ashley packed Dylan's bag and then they headed out. Now, Ashley's mother, Dorothy, did not live in a very good part of the city. She actually lived in an area that was known as the slums of Truro. Dorothy's house was also less than 500 feet away from Leper Brook, a stream that flows to Salmon River and eventually into the Bay of Fundy. And on that day, the river was running unusually high, as there had been a lot of rainfall recently. When Ashley arrived that morning with Dylan, the grandmother introduced him to her new puppy, and he was very excited. Dorothy then told Ashley that she planned on playing with Dylan and the new puppy outside for much of the day, and Ashley would leave her mother's house around 11. It wouldn't be until a few hours after Ashley left that Dorothy ended up taking Dylan and the new puppy outside, around 1:15 p.m. When they got out there, Dorothy turned her back to Dylan to tie the dog's leash to a metal pole. And in those few seconds, Dylan vanished.
This is the last spot that Dorothy says she saw Dylan. Now, there are only two ways out of this backyard. He either would have bolted for Queen Street, this busy street here, or he made his way through this gap in the fence and headed for the water.
According to police, Dorothy would say that she had only turned her back for 18 seconds. But according to Dorothy,
I turned back around to hook the lead to the dog, and then I turned back around. Now, the 8 seconds, I never, ever said 8 seconds or 18 seconds. That was the cops. Now, that 18 seconds that everybody is stuck on is not how long I said when the police asked me how long I turned around for. I said maybe a minute.
the grandmother frantically began looking for the little boy, and after a few minutes of not being able to locate him, she screamed. A neighbor who overheard her then contacted the police, who were on the scene within minutes of the boy's disappearance. Even though that's what was in the police report, a private investigator would later speak with neighbors, and he would find that the neighbor across the street from Dorothy would say that Dorothy was not freaking out or acting erratic at all. Instead, the neighbor claimed that she looked rather scared. Another neighbor would also say that they had seen Dorothy outside around 12:30 p.m., and at that time, she looked like she was already searching for something. Also, according to Dylan's father, before police showed up at the scene, one of Dorothy's neighbors had helped her look for Dylan, and they had gone down to the creek, but seen nothing in the water at that point. This was just minutes after he vanished. Around the same time, Ashley's father went to pick her up from her friend's house. He then brought her back to Dorothy's so they could help search for her son. Even though there was a no-contact order between Dylan's parents, his father Jason would show up at the scene around 3 p.m. to help look for Dylan. By then, more police and volunteers were in the area fanning out. Hundreds of people would end up getting involved with the initial search for the little boy. Now the thing is that Dylan had actually been wearing a pair of rain boots that day that were a size too big for him. So he would not have been able to walk away from his grandmother's house very quickly at all. Also, as his mother Ashley would say, Dorothy's new puppy was only about 5 or 6 months old. So it would have likely been triggered by Dylan running away and would have run after him. Dylan's grandmother Dorothy suggested to police that maybe he had been abducted, although police already seemed to not suspect any foul play. The community of Truro would rally together, trying to find the little boy, and authorities deployed a combination of canine resources, local fire departments, water rescue, drone technology, and helicopters. They checked every spot physically possible, but didn't find Dylan. Then, 6 hours after Dylan had originally vanished, a volunteer would pull one of his rain boots out of the grass near the brook by his grandmother's home. Then, a few hours after that, a second volunteer would find his other boot, about 60 meters or 196 feet away from the first one. This rain boot had been found tangled up in a shopping cart that was disposed of in the brook, but still, no other sign of Dylan. Dorothy's husband, Jeff Parsons, would also speak with police, and he told them that he had been home for lunch that day, like he did every other day. He left to go back to work at 12:50 p.m., and according to him, Dylan was still in the house at that point. That same day that Dylan had gone missing, and Jeff knew that he'd gone missing, he never left work early to go help look for him. Police searched the waterways near Dylan's grandmother's backyard for several days, using underwater cameras and thermal imaging devices, as well as rigging up a mannequin with similar bodily proportions to Dylan, and putting it in the water to test what would happen. It would take less than an hour for the mannequin to be swept away by the powerful tides. But according to Dylan's father, Jason, the search and rescue team actually had to keep pushing the mannequin out into the water because it kept getting stuck on all the sticks and debris that were in the brook. Also, the area of the brook that's directly behind Dorothy's home is rather shallow and tangled up in roots and plants. So did Dylan really just get swept away that easily? After 6 days of looking for Dylan, police would tell Jason and Ashley that they had exhausted their search and they would try again in either June or July. Dylan's parents were very disappointed by authorities' lack of a prompt response. And according to Ashley, they never treated Dylan's case like a criminal investigation. They just treated it like a search and rescue, never blocking off any streets or stopping any cars that were going out of the neighborhood. They also didn't stop any members of the public from going onto the crime scene, and were very late in issuing alerts to get help. Once police had found his boots, they decided that that's where he had gone and pretty much closed the investigation. But Jason and Ashley were extremely distraught and just wanted their son home. When Ashley logged onto Facebook to check for any updates, she was faced with horrible cyberbullying. People were now accusing her of killing her son. Someone had found Ashley's TikTok account and discovered what they deemed to be potentially disturbing evidence that she had a dark side, one that was capable of hurting her son. In one video that Ashley had taken in April, she sings to a viral meme that's a parody of the song "Do You Want to Build a Snowman" from the movie Frozen. Some of the words are, "Will you help me hide a body? Come on, we can't delay. No one can see him on the floor. Get him out the door before he can decay." In another video, there's the soundtrack "What's Poppin' playing," and Ashley is blowing smoke from a joint into the camera. She sings, "I'm gonna get you high today." Then, the most damning one is one where Dylan is sitting next to his mother. Ashley smiles widely and mouths to the meme saying, "You ever just look at somebody and think to yourself, this motherfucker is going to be the reason why I go to jail?" It's implied she's talking about Dylan, but not confirmed. In an interview, Dylan's mother, Ashley, would admit that her TikTok videos were inappropriate, but argued that the public had taken them way out of context. Regardless, these videos still sent an uproar into the community, and blame for Dylan's disappearance fell onto Ashley. Many people were sure that she had orchestrated his disappearance and began to mock her. But despite the hate she was receiving, Jason and Ashley went out nearly every day looking for their son. A Facebook group had also been started, with over 17,000 members at its height. In this group, Dylan's case was discussed and debated. Many accusations were also made towards his family members. This led to a Halifax lawyer seeking to get the group removed under Nova Scotia's Intimate Images and Cyber Protection Act. A settlement would end up being reached with the group's two administrators in mid-2021, and they were then forbidden from creating any new groups in relation to Dylan's disappearance or contacting his parents. In addition to being harassed online, Ashley and Jason have reportedly been followed and ambushed. Other family members have also been scrutinized, and there have been unfounded allegations that Dylan's aunt kidnapped him. Not long after Dylan went missing in 2020, one of these cyberbullies even showed up at Ashley's job. A small memorial that was made for Dylan next to the river was additionally vandalized. Throughout their terrible ordeal, the months and now years since their child never came home, Jason and Ashley have grappled with every possible theory for his disappearance. That he was kidnapped by a stranger or someone close to them. That his grandmother was part of some bigger, nefarious scheme. And there were hundreds of smaller, more specific leads to follow in the case. That someone had actually been seen carrying a large duffel bag to another house on Elizabeth Street near his grandmother's. There had also been a hole dug in the backyard. Many psychics have also tried to tell the family where to look for Dylan. They also received ransom notes from multiple people claiming that they had him, demanding $10,000 to $12,000, along with threatening to beat Dylan or throw him out of a moving car. One note even included bloodied and battered pictures of a woman and threatening that Dylan was next, which is all just completely insane and heartless. Then there were the boots that were found, and Dylan's father, Jason, wondered if maybe somebody had snatched him and then just disposed of the boots there. Jason's own twin brother, Justin, would conduct his own experiment as well. He dropped a pair of boots off a nearby bridge and found that they landed in almost the same spot as Dylan's boots had. Many people, like police, assumed that Dylan had just fallen into the river that day. But, like I said, there's also many people that believe that his family had something to do with it. Since the only evidence that was ever found were Dylan's boots, people find this highly suspicious. The Bay of Fundy is huge, and while it's possible that he got swept up into the bay, many think that his body would have been located in the river soon after, since police were so quick to get there. Either way, the search for Dylan has not ended, and everyone is hopeful that one day he will still be found. As for Dylan's parents, they still continue to search for him, as well as run online accounts that are dedicated to finding the little boy. Ashley still won't speak to her mother, Dorothy, as Dorothy refused to take any responsibility for Dylan going missing on her watch. Then, in October of 2023, Jason, who had split up from Dylan's mother, Ashley, was searching the banks of the Salmon River with his new girlfriend when he unexpectedly pulled out a pair of camo pants, and these closely resembled the ones that Dylan had been wearing the day he vanished. This resulted in the Truro police doing a grid search of the area, but they didn't find any more evidence. A year after Dylan's disappearance, his family placed numerous paper boats in Leper Brook as a form of a memorial for the little boy, and the public joined in as well. His dad, Jason, said, "Today was more of a gathering for Dylan, to talk about him and spread awareness, to hold a special moment for him. He would have loved to have thrown boats in the water as well." In the hopes of establishing a stronger public alert system in Nova Scotia, Dylan's parents also started a petition for setting up the Ehler Alert, a public alert system which would facilitate the rapid distribution of information to the public about young children lost in potentially hazardous environments. Well, thank you for listening to Dylan's story today. When I first started looking into this case, I believed that Dylan was just swept up in the brook out back of his grandmother's home. But the more details I've gathered, I'm now not sure if that's the case. With all the sticks and debris in the brook, it wouldn't have been very easy for him to have gotten swept away so quickly. But his grandmother doesn't seem to know exactly how long she turned her back to Dylan, which is extremely important information and makes a huge difference in how far he possibly could have gotten. Did he really just wander off on his own in less than a minute? Or was his grandmother not properly watching him that day and something else happened? What do you think? Where did Dylan go? So if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on those notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 3 times every single week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.